G'day viewers and welcome to my Instamic Studio Test. I'm Camera 3 from the Australian TV show Blokes World. Check us out, the show's available on lots of different TV channels around the world. But right now, you're going to hear what the Instamic sounds like in a sound-treated recording studio compared to various other mics that you're probably using in your video production. So here we go. The mic you've been listening to is a Sennheiser ME2 lapel mic right here. It's the one that comes bundled with a Sennheiser G3 wireless system, which I know a lot of video guys probably know pretty well. And now for comparison, I've just switched to the Instamic. Now I should tell you that for this video I won't be using any EQ or compression or any processing at all other than just normalizing all mics to the same level. So I'll keep switching between mics for you to compare while I talk. Now I've used the magnetic attachment to fix the Instamic to my shirt, and that brings me to the first advantage of this thing, t-shirt compatibility. It's not so much a problem on this shirt with a collar, but on t-shirts you have to clip your lav to the collar either too high up or too close to the larynx to get a good vocal sound, and especially for male voices. So with the Instamic, the magnetic attachment gives you better placement options, and that's awesome. Now the Sennheiser lav is a great system. We've used it for years and we've traveled around the world with it, and by doing so we've probably broken the law because the frequencies you're allowed to travel on, to transmit on I should say, aren't the same in every country. And the other thing is that even though I scan for clear channels in every new location I film in, sometimes I get static interference noises in the audio, and that can happen even when the receiver's only a couple of meters away, and in the middle of an interview, that really sucks. So I'll talk more about the advantages and disadvantages compared to the Sennheiser wireless system later on. But now let's move on to the next mic, which is the Rode NT-G2. This is a shotgun mic, which I use a lot in the studio for this kind of video. I've got one just above my head here. Now I've also used it out in the field, inside a blimp and a dead cat, and it sounds great, and it works really well if you've got an experienced sound guy holding it on the end of a boom. But on Blokes World, we're a cast and crew of 2, and we travel light and we move fast, and if we had to wait for a sound guy to fire up an external sound recorder and extend his boom pole and get into position and get out of the way of the camera and get out of the shot, then we'd miss half of the interview. So that's why we don't use this. Now moving on to the next mic I'll compare, it's the Rode Reporter. Now I love this thing, and it's definitely the handheld mic that I would use. It's omnidirectional, so you don't have to shove it in your interview subject's face. You can just hold it still between you and your subject, and it works really well. It rejects wind unbelievably well. I've used it in 20 or 30 knot winds outside without a dead cat or any kind of external windscreen, and I've never heard noise through it. But it's still a handheld mic, and it changes the dynamic of a conversation between two people when one of them's holding a microphone. It can get awkward, you don't get a natural conversational flow, it prompts people, and it can work, but it also turns a conversation into something you'd expect to see on the 5 o'clock news. Having said that, I'll never part with this, and I'll probably still carry it with me to every shoot because sometimes the situation calls for a handheld mic. Moving on, we have the Rode NT1. Now this is a large diaphragm condenser mic, so it's completely useless anywhere except inside a studio. It's very low cost by studio standards, but I still choose it for a lot of voiceover work. And frankly, I don't expect the Instamic to take over this guy's job in the studio, but this is just for comparison. But you also need to consider that even though the NT1 is an absolute bargain, if you're starting from scratch and you don't already have a studio mic like this, then the Instamic does a pretty solid job in this environment. Anyway, this isn't supposed to be a review. I only got the Instamic today, but so far I'm really impressed, and it's going to be an absolute game changer on Blokes World. And here's why. Because for a typical single camera interview with 2 subjects, I've got to pull 2 lapel receivers out of the bag, mount them onto the camera, run a cable from each receiver into the audio inputs, switch them on, and that's after checking that the frequencies are clear in that location. then wire up the two subjects with body packs and lapels, switch them on, then explain to the subject where to put the body pack, and that can get all awkward, and I've easily lost 3 or 4 minutes. Even when everything is plugged in, powered up, ready to go, just getting the body pack onto somebody usually costs a couple of minutes and can be a bit awkward. Now compare that with the Instamic scenario where stick it on with the magnet, press the button twice and you're done, 10 seconds. It's not all roses. I've still got to sync the sound in post, and that's less convenient, but that'll take me, what, 30 seconds for each interview, and so that's still less time that I would have spent setting up the wireless lapels out in the field. And time in the field is more valuable than time in the editing room, so I'm happy to make that trade-off. Other downsides? Well, I can't monitor audio through the earphones, so I have to trust that this is recording properly. The mobile app shows audio levels in real time, so that's a partial solution. Another potential downside, the Instamic isn't easy to hide. Now that's not a problem for me and the show that I work on, but it might be for you. And battery life. I've heard that this has been tested to about 3 hours recording time. The Sennheiser system gives me about 4 hours on AA batteries. But on the Sennheiser, I need 8 AA batteries for 2 audio channels. And at a big all-day event, I'll usually burn through at least 1 full set, and I usually have to carry a second full set of AA batteries spare. So I'm lugging around 16 AA batteries, and when you consider that the weight of each single AA is the same as one Instamic, then you do the math. Still, the 3-hour battery life is going to be a problem, and my solution for that is a portable USB power supply. So be able to chuck one in the bag, charge 2 Instamics at a time with it, and just keep the things on charge while I'm walking around, filming B-roll, traveling from place to place or whatever. And I'm planning to order at least 2 more Instamics anyway, so that'll be useful for 3 or 4 channel interviews, but it also doubles your battery capacity if you're only using 2 of them. The other thing I love is just how compact this is going to be compared to what I usually carry with me. We travel a lot, we run and gun a lot, and this gear is way more than I'll be carrying from now on. So there it is. Hope that helps you, and I hope that you can make a judgment on the sound quality based on this in the studio.